Welcome to another edition of Badger Blitz TV, your Rivals.com destination for all things Wisconsin athletics. From the recruiting trail to inside Camp Randall Stadium to on the court at the Kohl Center, I'm Matt Perkins, joined as always by the man, the myth, the legend, and the source of all things just and righteous. It's Rivals.com national analyst Clint Cosgrove. Clint, good to see you as always, buddy.
Hey, the intro's getting better every week. I appreciate it.
I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best.
I get my confidence from.
Well, Clint, like we always say, it's the best part of my week right now because we are going to dive into some recruiting and we're going to continue with the 2024 in-state kids in the state of Wisconsin. Last week, make sure to go back, check out our video on the four big kids, the four kids from the in-state who have the most notable offers so far. Corey Smith, Donovan Harbor, Derek Jensen, and Sam Peeloff. Today, we're going to check out 6 more prospects from the state of Wisconsin that we think are intriguing and you're going to see definitely at the next level. And Clint, we are going to start with one of our favorite guys, one of our favorite athletes in the state of Wisconsin, and that's Tevin Montgomery. Guys, if you have not watched Tevin Montgomery play football, A, you're about to see it. So be prepared, and be like, every Wisconsin fan should love the way this kid plays football because he feels like an old school Wisconsin player.
No question. Now, Tevin, obviously comes from great genetics and everything like that. His dad's Jerry Montgomery, the defensive line coach at the Packers, who also played at Iowa, where his other brother just signed this past year. But he's a throwback, man. When you flip on the film, I said, I texted you earlier, I said, I probably would have faked an injury when we were playing them because I wouldn't want to tackle him. But really just, big body kid, very light on his feet, good lateral movement, burst. You see there, you question the top end speed. There's no question that he's got the physical skill set. He's got the ability. He's got the balance. Look at like right there, you cannot train that. You cannot teach that. That is, I talk about, evaluating body mechanics for a living. That is the quintessential body mechanics right there. The balance, the ability to take a hit, stay up, and then keep your legs churning. And that's one of the things I love most about him. His feet never stop. He's very light on his feet. Although he's very big, very light on his feet. He does run well at his size, but you question that top end speed. So what position does he play at the next level? I don't know if he's a tailback, but like you said, he's that throwback Wisconsin fullback. I was saying, in Nebraska in their prime in the 90s, he's a throwback. They probably offer him as a fullback. He could do some big time damage at the Army, Navy, and that type of offense. So then I look at, what does he transition to at the next level? Is he a Mike linebacker? Is he a running back? But like you said, he's a phenomenal athlete. He's got, great genetics. You watch him jump over someone there, put his foot in the ground, get vertical. There's a lot to like about him. But you look for things that transition to the next level, and one of them has to be speed. What is his real height? Is he 6 foot or is he 5'10", 5'9.5"? Those are all going to play into his recruitment. So I don't know where Wisconsin will go with this one. Is he a walk-on type? Is he a scholarship type? I have a feeling that Iowa will end up offering him a scholarship like they did his brother, who probably, at this point in his career at least, wasn't as good as I see as Tevin being. And his brother signed with with Iowa last year. So, a lot to like about him. Still some questions as far as, how it transitions to a high Power 5 level. I can tell you this, whether it's Power 5, Group of 5, FCS, wherever he goes, he's going to make some sort of impact because the dude's a football player. He's physical as hell. He's got a high motor and he's got a skill set that is pretty impressive.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's definitely got a skill set. And I love his feet. I absolutely love his feet. And he's so light on his feet for a kid his size. It's unbelievable. I played rugby with a guy named Norm who was about 6'4", 330 and had probably the lightest feet of anyone on the team. He reminds me of, I would call him Baby Norm. No one else would get that, but oh my gosh, like this kid is, I love the way he moves his feet in the hole, especially like you can't tackle him those tree trunks of legs that are moving that fast in that rapid pace.
No question. And in today's day of football, just the way it is, that skill set, that size, that play, is just not as valued as it used to be. Now, football's cyclical. Maybe there's a time where it will be again. But you got to love what you see about the kid, and hopefully answer some of the questions that we have in the next year. You got to remember, these kids are 15 years old, like 16 years old. They're just kids. And to see him do that, and you think about his age and how physically put together he is, I mean, you never know how good he's going to end up being.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things for me, especially, you have years and years and years at this. I'm not as well versed as you when it comes to a lot of these evaluating things, but just always have to remember, I have to like put up on my computer screen, like, the kid is 15, the kid is 15, the kid is 15. So
it's all projections.
It's all projections. Another kid, though, who's definitely going to project to the next level is Sam McGivern. Out of Kimberly. He's already got a Western Michigan offer, outside linebacker. He's got a stringy sort of body type, but you can definitely see the potential in him. Clint, I know he's a guy you've looked at before. Tell us a little bit more about, McGivern. Out of the Papermakers, one of the great programs in the state of Wisconsin.
Yeah, it comes from a great program. They produce a lot of players, good football. He's got a high motor. That's the number one thing that stands out about him. He's going to get the most out of his ability. He flashes with his hands. Sometimes you see him play with great hands, keeping his eyes up, so he can disengage from blocks and play in the backfield. Other times he's like a bull in a china shop, just running in there, using his shoulder. Once again, that comes with being a young player. And he's shown the ability to be a technician, to play with his hands, to be able to diagnose a play and everything like that. I think this is where you see it actually right here. Yep. So keeps his eyes up, disengages, and is able to run down the player. Once again, high motor kid. A lot of kids, once they, when he went the wrong way and got stuck inside, and then the quarterback goes outside, and then, he's able to chase him down. A lot of kids would have given up that last play. And you kind of see it right there. He's just kind of running in, not playing with his hands. That's just something of being young. You can coach that up. The thing that comes to question then is, what position is he? What is he listed at, Perko?
Yeah, he's listed at 6'2", 205.
Okay. So, there's times where he looks bigger than that. Other times where, the frame looks a little narrow. So you wonder, what is his growth? And if he doesn't grow a ton, if he doesn't have a huge frame, then where does he project? He probably projects to an outside linebacker edge type. We know he can rush the passer. We know he can get after it. We know he has a high motor. He's good at chasing things down, good at diagnosing plays. How does he play in space? And I know that was a question that you had. You don't see it on film, and a lot of that's just because of the position he plays. To me, a lot of his upside and where he ends up, is he a Badger recruit, comes into how big is he going to get? And if he's not going to get much bigger, how athletic is he? Is he able to play in space? And that's something that you get from, you got to work him out in person, because orgs show up at a practice and see him do it because just the position he plays, he's going to rush the passer and he's going to play the run.
Yeah, for sure. And the way that, from all the film that we see, from the way that they're obviously utilizing him at Kimberly, he's got his hands on the ground at all times. And with that frame, he's going to have to learn how to drop back unless he grows 2 inches and adds 40 pounds, which again, he's 15. We've seen it happen 15. A million times before. So we're just going to keep hammering that point home. We still got all these 15-year-olds we're talking about. Oh man, but the one that jumped out to me was Matt Stenbroten from Lake Mills, Matthew Stenbroten, I should say. He's a kid who he's got the frame already, Clint, because I can see this kid having a huge, huge upside.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the frame. The number one thing that stands out when you turn on the film is his frame, his length, and his athleticism for his size. When I do these evaluations, like I say, it's body mechanics. And a lot of time when they're this young, can they do it, or just is it about ability, or is it just about getting into good habits and doing it repeatedly? And what I'm talking about with this is his bend. He plays a little high, but he's a heck of an athlete. Like, you see him stretch the field, you look at him run at that size, naturally catches the ball, great body mechanics overall, and he just looks like a long torso, kind of a little mechanical right now, but I absolutely love his upside. And we'll see later in the film that he actually can bend. And that's what gets me excited about him, because we go back to the 15, 16-year-old point. For a kid to be this big and have this much body control at his age, like, it's just very impressive. So, whereas with the last kid, you worried about, is he going to be big enough? With him, that's not a question here. I think the only question is what position does he end up playing? Is he a H-back tight end type, or is he an outside linebacker? And we talked about this, Perko, but I think he's probably highest upside right now, at least at the Big Ten level, would be as an outside linebacker, as a pass rusher type. We know he's athletic enough to play in space. We'll see that later on in film. This kid's got a ton of upside.
Yeah,
I
Clint,
think really
one of the things about Stenbroten that we're going to see here in a little bit. We've already seen that he can close if he's on the edge, but we're going to see him drop into coverage here in a little bit. And
yep,
seeing a 6'4", 210-pound 15-year-old be able to flip his hips and run with a slot receiver, that's for me where I went, holy crap. Like, these catches are awesome. He catches with his hands. Like, he tracks the ball well in the air. He has good body control. But I think that you talk about the upside of being a special player. I see the upside of a special player for him. It comes for him on defense, because he has the, like you said, I mean, look at this, running across the field, tips the ball to himself 3 times, and is able to catch an interception.
Yeah, and the thing that stands out about that, he was running from the opposite side. A lot of guys would take the play off, waiting for something and come back their way. He's running full speed, even though well knowing that he probably isn't going to get.
And this is that play coverage. This is that play I was talking about. Look at him flip his hips, run with the receiver, and then get the pick. I mean, come on.
Carry the slot, stay in phase, and then turn around. Yeah, I mean, like, it's very impressive. I'm very high on this kid. I'd love to see him work out in person. Hopefully, I get a chance to in the near future. But to me, of the guys we've watched so far, and I think you would said this as well, but I could see him being the one, to get the first to get the offer from Wisconsin. He's got the frame, he's got the skill set, he's got the athleticism, he's shown his ability to flip his hips. He's shown the ability to bend and be fluid. Just comes down to consistency. You can coach that up. I'm sure he's getting coached well at where he's at, but he's a young kid, and it just takes time and repetitions to make that happen.
Mm-hmm, for sure. But again, like I said, I think the upside is there. I really think the upside is there, and
no question.
I'm excited to see a lot of these kids come out as juniors, right? Because a lot of times we see that big leap happens between the sophomore and junior year. And so, yeah, we always have late bloomers who are going to bloom as seniors and stuff like that, and some kids who are man children as freshmen. But I feel like a lot of times we see those kids take the leap from good to great, great to excellent at that age, at 16, 15, 16-year-old age, going into your junior season. So I'm really excited about him and some of these other kids that we've got coming up next. And the next one of those is Jace Gilbert, the big defensive end from Arrowhead. You can definitely see him being, especially with the Badgers 3-4 system, you could see him someone sort of taking on that 3-4 end role, especially I think he has the frame to bulk up, but we will see. It can be tough to tell on films at time. Clint, tell us what you see in Gilbert's game.
Yeah, so, first thing is the frame. He's got the size, listed at 6'4", 245 right now. And we go back to how young they are right now. That sophomore to junior year, yes, some guys grow early, but whether they grow early or not, really, I think the time in the weight room between the sophomore and junior year is when you see these big gains and say, okay, is this guy a mid-level player? Is he a high level? Is he a Power 5 type guy? So that being said, he's got the frame. I'd like to, he's young, but he's got a motor. He gets after. I know he's getting coached up at Arrowhead, another great program that puts out a lot of players. I'd like to see a little more technique, obviously. I'd like to see just a full combination. There's a lot of guys, believe it or not, at his size on a national level, his size and skill set. So how does he separate himself? I call those points of separation. How do you separate yourself from other players who are like you? And there's a million kids out there, playing football. And so that's what I'm going to be looking for as far as a jump from junior to senior year. I want to see a little bit more bend. But like I said, he's got the frame. He has the want to. He gets after it. Another high motor kid. That's what you love about the Wisconsin kids too. And we talk about this even in our rankings meetings. Like, some of these kids, when they show up at these national events, they haven't been on that stage before. And some of the guys really thrive, and you're like, how does he do this well against national competition when he hasn't necessarily gone up against that? And some guys struggle, but even those guys who struggle, some of them go on to be big time football players. So once again, you go back to their age, you go back to, how developed are they? And, I think he's got a ton of upside. This is a kid who Wisconsin could end up offering. He's just a pup right now. But yeah, I like the way he gets off the ball. I like his raw, natural ability. He's got the frame, and then we'll just see, does it all come together? And is he a guy that Wisconsin ends up, targeting in the end?
Yeah, I know that John McNamara at Badger Blitz thinks that he's probably the next guy to get an offer from this in-state group, outside of Derek Jensen, obviously, who doesn't have an offer still, but I think that's a formality at this point with the Badgers offering Jensen. I would imagine that he thinks Gilbert's the next guy to get an offer. Based on what I've watched so far, I think he could definitely be a kid that you could see, especially if he does, grow like we expect him to do between his sophomore and junior season, he could really, start to make a name for himself.
Yeah, and the more you talk about him, and I don't disagree with John at all, because he's got the tools and he's got the size. Like, he might be one of those guys, and he kind of looks like he might be, that's like already super muscled up and like looks like a Greek god, So a lot of times you don't get that on film. I remember as a coach,
I could see him being like a Chikwe Obasi, like kind of,
just like Jack,
6'2", 6'3", 280, and just like muscles and grit and taking on like 3 men at a time.
And loves it.
Absolutely loves it. Another guy who's listed as a D lineman, but Clint, I think you like him more on the offensive line, and that is Mukwonago's Nathan Roy. He's got an offer from Central Michigan right now. He has an offer from Central Michigan right now. And boy, he's got the frame.
Yeah. This is a big dude. He is a big dude. You can tell that. And he moves pretty well for his size. Can he play defensive line? Absolutely. I haven't even seen him play offensive line, but it goes back to evaluating body mechanics. And for him to be this size at this age, I start thinking, you know what? He's pretty athletic, but is he dominant and athletic at the next level? Maybe. We don't know that yet, but he's definitely athletic enough to be a dominant offensive lineman if he can put on the size, whether it be guard, tackle, center, or whatever. You see enough on film where, he's got a chance to be a dude. Now, to me, he could be anything from FCS to Power 5, and it goes back to being young and where does he fit in and how does he develop over this next year? Like I said, it's a big year for development as far as strength gains, as far as, getting used to your body. A lot of these young guys, when you grow faster than your body mechanics, it takes some time. It's almost like a young giraffe getting used to their body. They look all, not that he looks awkward, but like as they're growing into their body, it's a weird phase. So sometimes the athleticism's even, way ahead of what you think it is. They're just, growing into that frame. So he's got a great frame. He's very efficient. He does some good things. You see him bend at times. You see him play with his hands. You see him overpower people. You see him run guys down. Like, he checks all the boxes. It's just, how does that transition to the next level? And I think we find that out this year. But another Division I kid coming out of Wisconsin for sure. Right now, the question is, how good is he going to end up? How good can he be? I think he does have a great ceiling. And, I think this year will determine a lot.
Yeah, I think that for him, I would be curious to know how long he's been playing football, because to me, he actually looks like someone who's been a basketball player most of their life and is just learning the game of football. And if that's the case, then I might actually be even higher on him than I thought, because I think that I think the baseline athleticism is there. I think it's absolutely there.
Oh, yeah.
I think that you can clean up some of the mechanics, especially with the footwork. I could see him, like you said, with the offensive line. I definitely think his upside is at offensive line. I could see him being a tackle, but he looks a little too long to be a defensive tackle, especially if you're looking at a Wisconsin 3-4 system where the nose is asked to, just gobble up blocks. And I'm not sure if he's the right build for that, but I could definitely see him playing on the offensive line at the next level. So last guy we're going to talk about today is a fan favorite, and that is the wide receiver out of Kettle Moraine, Drew Wagner. Clint, I wrote in my notes before this, before we recorded, that he doesn't have hands. He just has stickum mitts that have been prosthetically attached to his forearms because he doesn't drop the ball.
No, he tracked the ball very well too. Kid's got a phenomenal body control now. When we go back to talking about body control, when you're 5'10", 155, it's a lot easier than when you had a 6-inch growth spurt over the past year and you're getting used to his body. But he might be the best football player when it comes to just playing ball and the most exciting kid to watch that I've seen out of the state, maybe outside of the running back at Catholic Memorial. So, but this kid can play ball. I mean, he's a slot machine. He's going to get open every single time. He creates separation. He runs phenomenal routes. When you look at it, there's a lot of guys his size who have a great skill set. But just tracking the ball while in coverage and gaining that last second separation that you saw in that last play, that is a gift. As something that can be learned, it can be taught, but he naturally does it. So you love that about him. This is a kid, and when we talked about this before, it reminds me of, he's the best popcorn, and people are like, well, how's that going to transition to the high school level? And all of a sudden they're the best at the high school level. And they're like, well, how's that going to transition to the college level? What is his distinguishing factor that makes him better than all the other players like him? Well, it is that of being a great football player. He doesn't have the phenomenal size. He doesn't have the 10-3 speed, but he is the best kid on the field, no matter what level he plays at. And I absolutely love that about him. And, I have no question that when he gets to the college level, he'll be like, well, how's it going to transition to the college level? And they'll go out there and catch 100 balls somewhere. So is he a Wisconsin guy? I don't know that yet. Maybe he's still growing. Maybe he hasn't had his growth spurt, unlike the other guys who were like, oh, they grew early. Now how are they going to develop into their bodies? But, this kid can play ball. Absolutely love him. Absolutely love the film. Love the way he plays. What is his top end speed? He plays the game fast. We know that. Now we just need to get to verified times that show that, or, find a way to prove that his game speed's faster than any verified times that he has, which I wouldn't be surprised if it was. But this kid can play ball. Absolutely love him. Does Wisconsin offer him? I don't know about that. Does he get a walk-on offer for Wisconsin? They'd be crazy not to. And he's a kid who I could see, being a 3-year letter winner and catching a ton of balls. So the kid plays football. He's a flat out. He probably plays basketball and is the best on the basketball team. He probably plays baseball and is the best on the baseball team. He's just one of those kids.
He's probably the shortstop and the point guard and just running it over there. But you're right. You'd have to be an idiot to not offer him a walk-on. I think any of these 6 kids we've talked about are like absolute baseline PWOs. Absolute baseline.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no question. I'd take any one of these kids at Wisconsin as 100%, a PWO.
100%.
I think they're all at minimum FCS scholarship kids. Probably all at least.
I could see them all as
group of 5
I think
kids.
All of them besides Wagner have a group of 5 offer.
Yeah. Yeah, I can. I mean, and I think Wagner.
I guess
Sean Lewis
Montgomery and Stenbroten. Actually, Stenbroten has the Illinois State offer. Montgomery is offerless somehow, which really shocks me. But maybe it's just that everyone knows that he's going to end up at Iowa. Yeah.
So, Wagner, Sean Lewis, old Badger, head coach of Kent State, in that offense, oh my God, he would absolutely tear it up. Well, he reminds me of a kid from Michigan who was it Corey Lacarnia, who went down to maybe Ball State, I think. Uh-huh. Everyone said he was too small. He didn't have that elite speed, and the guy goes out and catches 60 balls right off the bat.
Do you know who Drew Wagner reminds me of?
Who's that?
Young Clint Cosgrove.
Oh my God! If we could find my film, you guys would be like, this guy can't chew gum and tie his shoes at the same time. Dude, but he can run a little bit.
We know you were a menace in the slot. Come on. We know you were an absolute menace.
My head taken off.
So, all right, Clint. Well, that is going to wrap it up for us here today. You guys, we really appreciate you, everyone out there watching, listening. We have a great time with this. We hope you guys have a great time while you are watching it. So you guys can catch Clint online at rivals_Clint on all the social media networks. Make sure to subscribe to the Badger Blitz YouTube page. Leave us a like. Make sure you're on badgerblitz.com every day, every hour to keep up with the latest news, reports from camp. Been a lot of good stuff this week. And if you like what you hear here and see here, check out the Believe in Badger Football podcast with me and the Hebrew Hammer, Matt Bernstein, every week.
Bernie.
We got one of your old teammates, Matt Shabert, on this week. Coming on this week.
Shabes is coming on?
Yeah.
Oh, I almost feel like I have to come on with him because, God, Shabes. I love Shabes.
Yeah, we will. Well, if you want to make a guest appearance, just shoot me a text. We can make something happen. So, your former quarterback, it should be a lot of fun.
He would die.
Oh, I know.
I just show up and I'm like, what's up, Shabes?
It'll be fantastic. So make sure you are on Badger Blitz and make sure you're following Clint everywhere. And until next time, I'm Matt Perkins, and we will see you in the den.
See you in the den.